Good evening, everybody. I call to order the Select Board meeting for Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. The time is 7:04. A quorum of the Select Board is present. We have members Lou Gito, Deborah Roberts, and Joe McCrisky, and Vice Chair Scott Carrera, and myself. If you are able, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. So we're going to begin the evening with citizens' comments. Is there anybody in the hall that would like to be recognized? Okay. Is there anybody online who would like to be recognized? Seeing nobody, we'll move on to Select Board comments, and we'll start with, from this end, Mr. McCrisky. Do you have any comments?
Not at this time.
No comments. Vice Chair Carrera?
I have none.
No. Ms. Roberts?
I have none, sir.
And wanted to buy you a little time, Mr. Gito. Do you have any comments for this evening?
I don't know if I should do this or not, but I think I will. You know, we are from time to time concerned about the death of someone or some other major thing. I'm really old. I mean, pretty old. And I can remember growing up. There was World War II, then the Marshall Plan, NATO. We were sort of the cradle of liberty in the country. We had strong allies, and we supported them. And they counted on us. And we were admired around the world. I'm so concerned about where we're going. I listened to the president talk about what he was going to be talking with Putin about land, about infrastructure and energy. And he's already discussing dividing up certain assets in Ukraine. That's not the country that I remember. And I don't know if I should even be here. I mean, it's so foreign to me. You know, I look at it and I sort of compare it to three families living in a neighborhood. Us with, let's just say, two twins. And our next door neighbor who has problems. And one of the twins sort of helps the person out, paints the fence, takes care of the cat or dog, does all of those things that you do as a neighbor and a friend. And then there's the person down the street, you know, maybe we would in New England call him part of the mafioso. And I think that we might be able to figure out who that guy is. The twin that's sort of friendly, but maybe feckless. He may not really have an awful lot of energy. Sort of gets sick. And the other guy, who's an angry person, takes over. And he wants to do something to his neighbor. and he enlists the support of the guy down the street. It's just remarkable how we are at such a different place than where I remember. I'm sorry to take your time up on this, but I think it really is a central part of where this country is and where it might be going. I mean, there's a whole lot of distractions, social issues, and so on. But the real tough things are the alliances we have, the friendships that we have. If this country is going to do well, it has to honor those friendships. It has to live up to what it believes itself to be. And I'm having a hard time with it. I don't know if I should even be here, as I said. But that's my part.
Thank you very much for your comments, sir. We will move on to town manager comments. Mr. Coulter?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that, Lou. I think people who love America have a responsibility for speaking out when we're in trouble, and we're in trouble. So thank you for that. Mr. Chairman, 2 announcements. First one is from our treasurer, Paula Newt. She issued the calendar year 2025 motor vehicle excise tax bills on March 3rd. The motor vehicle excise tax bill is due April 2nd. All unpaid motor vehicle tax bills accrue interest at 12% from the due date. The motor vehicle excise tax may be paid by mail at Town Hall, dropped off in the drop box outside of Town Hall, or paid online at stoughton.org. The Collector's Office accepts payments by credit card and debit cards in the Collector's Office for all tax bills. There's a 3% fee for paying your tax bill with a credit card or debit card. I'll post that announcement online, Mr. Chairman. The second note is a message from the town clerk. The town has received the vote by mail ballots, and they will be going out in the mail this week. This can either be mailed back, dropped at the town clerk's office, or dropped in the official ballot box located outside of the town hall. Please be advised that in order to receive a vote by mail ballot, you must fill out an application which can be obtained in the clerk's office or online under the town clerk's department of the town website under voter information. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry.
Chairman, may I ask a question of the town manager?
Yes, sir.
I got my ballot today in the mail and opened it. I haven't voted yet, but I will very soon. But I noticed something that I think is different, and other people can correct me if I'm wrong. But the incumbents for representatives at town meeting were not noted on the ballot, and I thought that they had been in past elections. Now, I might be wrong on this, but I don't think so.
Mr. Gito, I don't have a good answer for you, but I'll certainly research that and call you tomorrow afternoon.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
So thank you very much. We do have, we're way ahead of schedule. I appreciate everybody keeping your statements brief. But we do have a person who is here probably for items on the consent agenda, Mr. Alves, and I want to see if we can, yeah, we're going to bring that forward since we're swimming in time right now. Yeah, come on forward. This is for, so we're going to be addressing the consent agenda right now. We have 3 items on there. This is the approval of open session minutes, meeting of February 18th, 2025, and March 3rd, 2025. Then we have items B, application for a one-day alcoholic beverage license application for St. John's Philharmonica Society, 845 Washington Street on July 21st, 2025, as well as C, application for a permit for a parade, St. John's Philharmonica Society, 845 Washington Street on July 22nd, 2025. It is on the consent agenda, so don't feel any obligation to address it, but it's always great seeing you. So if you'd like to just talk about the event.
Absolutely. Good evening. It's the annual St. John's Portuguese Festival that we have in usually the third week of June, the weekend after Father's Day. This year it's going to be held, we usually do the one-day event. The Sunday's the procession, but the festival outside will be held on Saturday, June 21st. I have it scheduled from 4 to midnight. As you see the amount of people and all that stuff, we're going to be selling Portuguese food, Portuguese fried dough, burgers, dogs, fries, steak tips, the usual, fava beans, and all the goodies. We're going to have live entertainment. We're going to have a live band with a singer coming from California. And we're also going to have our Portuguese band marching in the parade, our St. John's band marching in the parade on Sunday in the procession, which is the 22nd. And that's the day I'd like to also invite you guys to join us in the procession and march with us. You know, on Sundays, just Mass at 12:30. And then after Mass, it's a one-way procession from the Immaculate Conception to the St. John's Portuguese Club, and that's it. No feast on Sunday. People like to work the next day. You know what I'm saying? So.
Thank you very much. Are there any other items that people would like to pull? Mr. McCrisky.
Chairman, thank you. Just very quickly, just feel it's a comment that needs to be made. We see a lot of things happening in town, and
Can't hear you.
just thinking about this, you know, and I've always said, I make these comments often, but as a follow-up to what Mr. Gito had to say earlier, I look and I see people in our community like Paul Alves, who's keeping tradition alive, working very hard to do it. There are a lot of good things going on in our community and throughout the country, and I think that's more importantly that we spotlight those people who are making a difference in our community and our country every day and looking to helping people, doing the right things, and not falling for the traps that are out there. So with that, Paul, I just want to say thank you to you because deep down you know what you're doing, you know, and you're doing it because you love your community. And there's a lot of people that can't do it anymore. I wish there were more people like you in the younger community, like us. I guess I'm the older of the young people.
Getting harder and harder.
It is, but you make it happen. And the reason you make it happen is you make people want to work with you. And the whole idea is working with people, you know, and making a difference, but one person at a time. I've said it here before and other times. We change the world one person at a time, and you're doing it. So I just want to thank you again, you know, and I look forward to being there with you.
Thank you for the kind words, and
My pleasure.
I appreciate the kind words. But as I say all the time, and I tell you all the time, it's a group effort.
It is.
I have a very, very good committee, a lot of assistants there. You know, they're all, like you say, they're all getting older. My vice president's going to be 80 years old next month, and he works like a workhorse. You know, he doesn't stop. I mean, I have elderly people. I have ladies on that board. They all give me, you know, A+ effort. So, you know, without them, I don't think I'd do anything on my own. So.
But you give them something to work for. So
Absolutely.
Don't ever be afraid to take the victory lap.
Oh, I know. I know. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. So I did see some comments, I think, for the minutes that you posted. There were some changes that you were recommending.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we'll pull item A if you'd like to address those.
Yes, do that at this time. Okay. So I have two amendments, and that's for the Tuesday, February 18th meeting minutes. on page 2, before Ms. Roberts asked for assurance, it's under the Select Board comments. I wanted to insert okay, it was Brooks. Oh, okay, thank you so much. Ms. Roberts indicated in her recent tax bill was an insert titled, "Important Information About Your Drinking Water." The insert stated the Stoughton Water Department had levels of PFAS 6 above the drinking water standard. The Stoughton Water Department has exceeded the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, MAS DEP, maximum contaminated level, MCL, for PFAS 6 in Q4 of 2024. This exceedance was at the Goddard well located off of Sumner Street. The notice further stated to share this information with other people who drink this water, especially those who may not have received this notice, like the people in apartments, nursing homes, schools, and businesses. So this is what I'm doing. Please call the Stoughton Water Department for any questions. The second addition or amendment I have is on those same minutes, and it's under the section Town Boards and Committee Appointments section, page 2, first paragraph, after the first sentence, Vice Chair Carrera. Please insert, Ms. Roberts indicated that ordinarily and procedurally, I would agree with Vice Chair Carrera's comment about the assessor's appointment to the Board of Assessor. However, this is an unexpected and urgent request due to the small number of members on this board. Without the appointment, there will not be a quorum to approve business matters. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any other recommended amendments for the minutes? Mr. Gito?
Following up on that same paragraph.
Do you want to turn the mic on? No, I don't. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Let's see, Mr. McCrisky added that he mentioned things in two sentences, and the last being he suggested a policy be established by the board. I think after that, I recommended that the appointments end in June or when we were going to have our next appointments to the board. And I think that we had agreed to that, and I think that the appointments that we made were until the next appointment round when all of the applicants could apply again for positions. So somewhere in this we should add that in terms of our agreeing to that and also the appointment length. So I gave something to Gilda that sort of addresses some of that, but maybe she can add some other things to it that more fully answer it. On the first page of the same minutes, at the bottom of the page were Selectmen's comments. Halfway down, I indicated that long-term planning should include studies of the Cedar Swamp, not Cedar Hill Swamp. So I think I gave a note to Gilda about that as well. Just a typo.
Thank you. Any other changes? Yeah, Ms. Roberts.
Mr. Chairman, a point of clarification. What was the motion? Let me start with that. What was the motion regarding the appointments to the assessor, to the disability, and to the climate action? Because we voted in favor, I thought, to appoint them as soon as possible.
We did.
Oh, okay.
We did do that.
Okay.
What we did was, there was concern about the process that we used and how long those were going to be and so on. And so I thought that we had agreed to just smooth the thing out, to put these people in for this period until
So these
the
for
next
these few
time.
months.
And then they could reapply.
That was my
So
recollection as
are
well.
we
My
okay?
recollection.
Okay.
Any other changes? Okay, so is there a motion well, we'll start with item A. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for February 18th and March 3rd of 2025 as amended by Mr. Gito and Ms. Roberts?
So made.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Ms. Roberts, seconded by Mr. Gito. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that's unanimous. And then for the remainder of the consent agenda, item B and C, application for a one-day all-alcoholic beverage license application for St. John's Philharmonic Society, an application for a permit for a parade for St. John's Philharmonic Society at 845 Washington Street. The alcohol license is for June 21st, and the parade is for June 22nd.
Motion to grant per application.
Second.
Okay, motion's made by Vice Chair Carrera, seconded by Mr. McCrisky. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous. Once again, thank you so much, and thanks for doing it.
I invite you guys to the procession on the 22nd. Hopefully you guys come out to us. See you at the feast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul.
Still way ahead, but let's move through some of these other items. So we have, next item on the agenda is discussion regarding South School project resolution. This resolution, a draft version of this resolution is in the package that you have. I'll just read it real quick for anybody who doesn't have in front of them or people at home. It's from the Select Board. It currently reads, whereas the new South Elementary School project, if approved by the voters of the town, is a significant building project and financial undertaking. And whereas the board anticipates that voters may approve the new South Elementary School project and appropriate sufficient funds subject to a debt exclusion ballot question. And whereas the board has been advised that there is a pending final MSBA reimbursement of approximately $2 million from the high school building project number 10102 as voted in May 2016, which is available for dedication to the South Elementary School project. And whereas the board recognizes that the repurposing and dedication of these funds would require approval of town meeting, now therefore, in consideration of the above, the board wishes now to state its purpose and intent for the benefit of the public and any future administration or membership of this board, and therefore the board does resolve and determine as follow. The board shall propose and insert a town meeting warrant article or articles to be considered at the next annual or special town meeting, whichever is earlier, proposing the reallocation of approximately $2 million from the high school building project number 10102, project budget remaining but unexpended to the South Elementary School project. So I will open the floor to any discussion on this, if there is any. Alternatively, you can simply make a motion if you'd like.
I had suggested some additional language that for you, the town manager, and others to consider. And if you feel that it's just a waste of time, then I don't want to bother you. If
Well, I don't consider it a waste of time. I've been I've been under the weather, so I haven't checked my email in a little while. So if it's in there, I apologize. I hadn't seen it. But is there language that you?
the town manager may want to weigh in here.
Lou, I did read it. I think it's a good amendment. I didn't bring it with me, unfortunately.
I have it with
Oh,
me.
I think it's a good amendment, if you wouldn't mind reading that.
Okay.
Can we get copies of it?
I would add another sentence at the end of that further, comma, that this resolution resolve in no way preclude the town from inserting other town meeting warrant articles to reduce the debt of the South Elementary School project.
I will vote for that.
The reason I had added that is that there are people who like to pick at everything that goes on, and to the extent that we may want to do something else in the future, I don't want them to think that this is the only thing that we could do, the only resolve that we could do. So that was the reason for putting that other sentence in.
Yeah.
Sorry you didn't get it.
No, I apologize. Actually, I did read it, and I just it's escaped my memory, so I apologize for that. I've got no problems with that, and we can make if whoever makes the motion can make a motion to adopt that additional language, we'll plug it right in.
I would make a motion that we include that sentence.
Okay.
And I will second that.
Okay. So there's a motion to adopt this resolution with the.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the town manager has something to straighten out in Lou's
Okay.
sentencing.
So I do believe it's a good amendment. However, I want to clarify a couple of points. This $2 million can either be used for this purpose or go to free cash, where it can be spent for other things. So this resolution is codifying that this board, by resolution, wishes for that money to go towards this purpose. I think that's, in my view, a good amendment. With respect to the other issues, the other revenue sources, for instance, the $1 million, I think it's $1,040,000, is money that is this is a check that's coming to our town, this $2 million. The other one that's part of the special town meeting, I believe, is a closing of articles that add up to that amount. So it's a little more than $3 million. There will be in the future other articles that are going to be closed at the fall and the spring town meeting. We can do all of them because they're like projects, they're school projects. We can do all of them by warrant article. So what I'm saying, Lou, is your intent is right on. Not that I have a vote, but I think it's wise. This one is unique because it's a check that's coming from the state, which should not be confused with articles that we were closing out. So, for instance, we're closing out an article this year for over $1 million for a total of 3. The mechanism for earmarking it to the school on the articles we're closing out, only town meeting can approve those through a warrant article. For this check, only town meeting can close it out, but it's the board doing it by resolution, proposing it by resolution, and showing your advocacy for it. So I don't know if I made it more confusing or less. There's a difference between closing out an article or using a check that's coming in from a project from 10 years ago.
And this is a resolution, which is separate from removing warrant articles under Mass General laws that we're allowed to do.
See that, Mr. Vice Chairman? That's exactly what I meant to say.
I know.
So for the benefit of the general public.
It's the mechanism by which we get it to the school. This is one mechanism because it's a check. The other mechanism is by article.
Yeah, and another element which we didn't lead into, but at our last meeting we discussed, is that this is a non-binding resolution of the select board and our intent to do something with money that we currently don't have certified, but we anticipate having certified and received at a future time. And so this won't be on. First of all, this won't be on the upcoming annual. This won't be inside the special that's within the annual. This will happen at some other future time. During that time period, there will have been an election. There might be new town meeting representatives. Ultimately, they'll be the ones who have to decide this, whether or not this happens. But we are signaling our intent of what to do with that money when it comes in if we vote this positively.
Mr. Chairman, had the check arrived and we expect it any time, it would have been in the warrant article, either for the annual or the special. But we couldn't put it as an article because it had not been received yet.
Yeah.
And we need the exact amount in order to put it in the warrant.
And the spirit, though, is very much within keeping with our previous goals and intentions of reducing the costs on taxpayers whenever and however possible. So there's a motion. It was made by Mr. Gito. to adopt this resolution with some additional language that he shared with us. And then that was seconded by Ms. Roberts. If we'll take it to a vote, all in favor say aye.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
I thought Deborah made the motion and Lou seconded. Didn't you make
I don't remember.
no, it was
Lou
Mr.
asked to put in an amendment to the motion.
And yes, so I said you can make a motion, and if you want to make a motion to adopt this with the additional language, then I'll entertain that. And he said I'll make that motion.
Mr. Chairman, before you move forward, just a point of discussion. I agree with Mr. Gito wanting to put money that's unused to this purpose. That's just my opinion. But the motion suggests it be done as part of this resolution. I would suggest, and I think Lou understands this, when we have this kind of money, because it'll come from an article, it be done through the town meeting warrant, not by resolution, because then it would be binding.
Sure.
So I don't know if Lou wants to withdraw his amendment,
I'll withdraw it.
and we'll get that.
Sure.
We'll do it through another mechanism.
Okay.
That's wonderful.
Thank you, Lou.
Okay. So the motion was withdrawn. So there's nothing to vote on at this point. It can be a further discussion, or we make some other motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
motion to accept the resolution as written.
Second.
Okay. Motion was made by Vice Chair Carrera and seconded by Ms. Roberts. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. So we'll accept the we have accepted the resolution as written. Thank you all very much. The next item on our agenda is Select Board policy regarding use of free cash in the town's fiscal 26 operating budget. There isn't backup on here. I think it's passed along to the town manager to.
There is a memorandum if you'd like to see that. I
Oh.
believe that has been circulated, hasn't it? Yes, it has. Where would that be, Gilda? It is, it's an attachment to the agenda packet.
Okay, let me open the email. That's okay. I'll get it. Okay. I don't want to get. I almost bring any germs.
I'd be
over
happy
here.
to read it out loud and then explain it if you'd like.
No, I've got it in the email. I just usually grab the package off the town website.
No problem.
Okay, one moment.
Mr. Chairman, we got it hot off the press after the packet went out from Mr. Winter.
No problem. Okay, so I've got that in front of me. Yep, got it. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Could you wait for a minute? I got halfway through the paragraph before the page was taken away.
Okay, so the motion that was drafted by town council regarding this particular item, if the board chooses to adopt it. You got it. Hopefully you'll have it in just a moment. Okay. Okay, and it reads, consistent with this board's prior determinations that no free cash and/or one-time revenue sources would be used to subsidize the general fund operating budget, I move that the select board direct and instruct the finance director and the town accountant to reserve the unappropriated remaining balance in free cash in fiscal year 2025, approximately $886,000, as most recently certified. Such unallocated funds to roll to July 1st, 2025 free cash calculation, and further to respectfully request that the Finance Committee be asked to offer its support of this policy. Okay, so I made the motion, I seconded it. Mr. Gito seconded it. Is there any discussion?
Yes, discussion. Oh, you made the motion, Steve second. No discussion.
Oh, I was just reading it if anybody wanted to, but I've got no problems with making that motion. I'm happy to. So the motion was made by me, seconded by Mr. Gito. And is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just a point of information when the members have spoken on it.
Sure. Mr. Carrera, did you have a comment that you'd like to make?
I was talking to Gilda, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, yeah, so I'll read it again. It's fine. But you have it in front of you, but I'll read it. So it says, consistent with this board's prior determinations that no free cash and our one-time revenue sources would be used to subsidize the general fund operating budget. I move that the select board direct and instruct the finance director and town accountant to reserve the unappropriated remaining balance in free cash in fiscal year 25, approximately $886,000, as most recently certified. Such unallocated fund to roll to July 1st, 2025 free cash calculation, and further to respectfully request that the Finance Committee be asked to offer its support of this policy. So this would be $886,000 that is not going to be appropriated for any purpose, and will roll forward into the next year's free cash calculation. I think this is a recommendation of DOR, and I think this is also a recommendation of our financial advisors, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, this is last year our finance director began a policy of unallocated funds, accounting, booked to the accounting department. It was a recommendation of our auditors and of DOR. We have those unallocated funds still on hand, and we have no need for them in the FY25 budget. So by passing this policy, we're transferring that money on July 1st to the FY26 budget. So this will be the first entry into free cash for the next fiscal year. The point of information I wanted to make in the spirit of full transparency, I want to be clear, as I was in the budget presentation, we are still subsidizing an enterprise fund with free cash, and that is the VNA. They can't take money from the general fund. So we're still subsidizing the VNA. And so although there's no free cash being used in our operating budget, VNA is not an operating budget item. It's an enterprise fund budget. So I just don't want anybody to say they are using free cash for VNA. That's not part of our operating budget. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Ms. Kerr.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the town manager, would this 886 be considered hung out in excess capacity until it's needed?
That is a tricky one. I believe the answer to that will be yes, because it's going right into next year's free cash, which gets rolled into the budget and then gets spun off at the end of the year as additional free cash. This is our first entry into the free cash account for next year. So yes, I believe for FY26, as long as we don't spend it, and it's not our plan to spend anything, we're putting money in all of our savings accounts. Yes, I believe you're correct.
Because excess capacity would hold it and keep it from being reached in on until we decide to release it.
Which is our objective here.
So excess capacity is the term.
It's a helpful term. I definitely appreciate that. You know, besides the efforts to make sure that the school is funded, if the public votes for it, as funded in a way that saves the taxpayers as much money as possible. As part of that effort is also a parallel effort to increase our bond rating, or at least to consider increase the consideration of it. That's why we've put a lot of money into our accounts, but also this will hopefully go a long way to demonstrate our financial responsibility.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Sorry, Miss. I'm going to start with Ms. Roberts, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is, will this policy be posted on our website? Where are our policies posted, especially this financial policy, so everyone knows that we have approved it? This specific policy is noted in the Finance Forum Handbook, prepared by the Division of Local Services. So that is my question. Is it going to be posted?
Deborah, we have a 6-inch book of policies that we read, follow, and comply with every day. To my knowledge, they have not been uploaded onto the website yet because I haven't been able to get to fully vet them. I want to make sure they came from the board. I want to make sure that they were voted. I want to see the minutes to attach to the policy so we know when we're implementing it, it's a board policy. and I'm going to assign that to a person very shortly so we can get it up on the website. But I hate to put something on the website that I can't validate your vote on. Everything until I got here was in hard copy. So we'll eventually get it up online after we can vet and validate every one of them. But this isn't a DOR policy, this is DOR guidance. And when we met with Moody's there last month, Moody's is just so incredibly impressed with the decisions you've made with respect to use of free cash and setting up these savings accounts for long-term investments. And when Biz informed them that we had a holdback unallocated account for any type of matters that may come up, we're probably the only 15th or 20th town that they've seen do that. And now that we're putting that into free cash for next year, I anticipate this coming year an increase in our bond rating for these policies that you've adopted. And I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gino.
As this discussion has evolved, I need to ask a few questions. I jumped to second your motion. I don't know whether or not I want to jump out of that. Not in seconding it, because I've already done it, but whether or not I'm going to support it. Mr. Town Manager, when you have a moment, finish what you're doing. No, I have time. Are you okay? Okay. If we did not do this, could we put this $886,000 into one of our stabilization accounts?
You'd have to do it through a town meeting warrant, article.
We can't increase the articles that we have?
I'm sorry, certainly they could be amended from what has been passed. Either you've closed the special, correct? Or is that
Closed the
yes.
special last
You've
week.
closed the special, so you can't do it here, but you can do it on town meeting floor.
I think we should do that. I say that for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think we need to carry free cash ahead. We should have enough money in our budget. I mean, my sense is perhaps different than others, but I think we probably have a lot of float in the budget. And I also don't think that we should be setting aside money that we may be using to subsidize a program that I don't really think should continue in the form that it's in, or in any form. I mean, I don't think that the town needs to do what we're doing. I think that there are other things to be done. And I would rather see this money set aside for more important things as we move forward. We have a lot of projects to deal with, a lot of things that we are not funding this year, and as I've said before, I think we're going to be coming into hard times, and we ought to be careful. I think there's going to be a lot of things that we're not going to have as a state and as a community that we've had funded by the federal government. And I think some of those things are going to be more important. And I think we ought to prepare for that. So I just say that, not to try to do anything except to say where I'm standing on this article now.
Fair enough. Yeah, so I think the changes the difference you're looking for is something we couldn't be able to act on here or now. That is something we can do or anybody could do on the floor of town meeting and sort of let that play itself out. But for the time being, with regard to this motion, there was a motion, and are you withdrawing your second, or do you want to maintain?
No,
that?
I'm not going to withdraw. any, I mean, look, at the motion's on the table. I just wanted to have the opportunity to speak on it and give a reason for my not necessarily supporting the article. Well, for not supporting the article.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I don't want to
Any other comments?
screw up anything else.
Okay, for the vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
And no abstentions? I think I heard everybody. Okay, so it's 4-1 in favor of the motion. Move on to the next item. Okay, so we can start the public hearings. We'll get started with that. So as practice with our board, as it's currently composed, all the public hearings are managed by Vice Chair Scott Carrera, who has a lot of experience with public hearings in many boards that he's served on, and committees that he's served on over the years. So for the purposes of the public hearings, he will be the acting chair. All comments, statements should be made through him and to him. You have the floor, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to, this is a notice of a public hearing pursuant to General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, to consider modifying, suspending, or revocating a liquor license. And it's in regards to Kit Ching Inc., DBA Chinatown. You can come up. I'll entertain a motion to open the hearing.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. McCrisky and a second from Ms. Roberts. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The hearing's open. I'd like to turn it over to the attorney. And paperwork.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board.
Please pull that close to you.
Can everybody hear me now?
Give your name, Stephen, for the,
For the record,
Yes.
Attorney Steve Chaplin, Mead, Tallerman, and Costa, Town Council for the Town of Stoughton. I see we have members of the applicant present. Could you please introduce yourselves for the record?
Good evening. My name is Lisa, and I'm the owner of the so far I just come back to care of my business because my husband have to be official for so right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Man, would you just mind pressing the button on the microphone so we're able to hear you?
That's all.
pull it close to you, Lisa.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
That's it. I see, okay. Well, I start over. Good evening, everyone. I'm so sorry I had to come up here, come to this hearing, because we got warning from the police station, because one night, one of the Saturday night, one of my worker, they had one at the party over there, and then by the time we know we close, the permit I have is up to 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock? 1 o'clock. And after that, and I had my manager, Kevin, he stayed over there until then and make sure they are all set, ready to leave. But the person who had the host of this party, after the party's over, he had to stay to clean up, and then he had one of the gentlemen to clean my restaurant for the whole restaurant, the dining room, kitchen, downstairs, everything, and they were to make a mess. And then I'm so sorry what happened, but for this reason, I already is terminate the person who made the mistake for that, and he just come back last week to do all the work. But I already give him the warning for that, and I apologize, what happened, and we will pay more attention to keep the business go on and make sure everything is safe and make sure everything is to follow the regulation for the business. No, I just don't want to lose any chance what I can keep myself to run the business in town of the Stoughton, because I love Stoughton and I've been here for all this year. I just don't want to lose everything what I have. So I apologize, everything what happened, okay? And also I have my manager, Kevin, come up to apologize to everybody what happened on that night.
Okay, Lisa,
Kevin,
hang on. Go ahead, attorney.
Just quick follow-up, just so we understand who everybody is. Thank you for introducing yourself. Is this Kevin who's seated with you?
Yes, my name is Kevin.
Can you state your full name for the record?
My first name Kevin, last name Chan.
Okay, and
So
you're the...
I'm the manager of the restaurant. Yeah. So she's my aunt. I've been helping her to run the restaurant for the past 5.5 months. Yeah.
Did you both have an opportunity to review Sergeant Flanagan's police report relative to this matter?
Yes, we did.
Okay, do you dispute any of the facts that are summarized in the incident report?
From all the information, we review the surveillance camera that we have. And we did see by the time with the police report staying at the time, the glasses and the alcohol beverages is still on the bar section, which is not being cleaned up. So we're just violating the regulations. So based on that, we have informed that to our janitor, which is the host for that party, for that night, for that particular night. And one other thing is that when the police came over and gave us the information that they need to see the host, we did inform that on the same day. However, the person did not show up and appear to the police station, and that's how it turns into a situation like this, which we are sincerely apologize with his actions and also with our careless mistake. Yeah, we.
I appreciate the comments. Just from my standpoint, I just want to make the record very clear. So neither of you were present that evening, but you reviewed some.
I was there.
You were there?
I was there until the people start leaving. Around like 1:15, 1:20, I have the discussion with the host of the party night. He said he will do all the cleanup, and then there was a few friends. Few of his friends is still in the restaurant, but what he told me is that he's start doing the cleanup. The people will start leaving as well. So that's why I decided to leave the building, because everyone is already stopped drinking, and I saw him start doing all the cleanup. Yeah.
Okay.
I should have stayed until every guest to leave the building before I take off, because that's my responsibility. So I did admit that I made the mistake on that.
Okay, that was my question. Did any of the board members have questions for these witnesses?
I don't have a question, I have a comment. It's nice to see somebody owning up to an issue and taking responsibility for it. It's happening less and less in this country. Keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Joe?
Mr. Gito stole my thunder. And once again, I get to point out that there are great people in the world, one day at a time, one person at a time. Mrs. Wong, you are a very gracious lady. You are a professional business person in our town. And to sit here and to just say, we made a mistake, we apologize, is human. We all make mistakes. And I don't expect we will ever see your company back here. And keep up with the great business that you do.
I will.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to hear from the officer?
I would say that's up to the board. From a legal standpoint, it doesn't sound like we have any facts in dispute. We do have the officer here. He's been gracious enough to join us, so I would defer to the board.
Does anybody would like to hear the officer and what took place, how he did his job, or?
No, sir.
No. What's that? Yeah.
I mean, let's get everything out there and everything said, and we know what we're dealing with 50%.
Sergeant, press your button, you get the floor. Just touch on what you want to say.
Absolutely. Just to introduce myself, I'm Sergeant Ryan Flanagan for the Stoughton Police Department. On Saturday, January 25th, I was the midnight supervisor, which is from midnight to 8 o'clock in the morning. Around 2:50 in the morning, I received a call from one of my officers, Officer Guzman, that there was still people inside the establishment in the bar area of 103 Sharon Street, which is known as Chinatown. This was during one of her regular checks of the businesses in the area. Upon arrival, I noticed that there were 3 people located in the bar area. 2 were sitting at the bar and had what appeared to be mixed alcoholic beverages in glassware. One was standing between them, drinking from a red Solo cup. There were also empty shot glasses on the bar. The front doors were locked. I knocked on the window to have them try to come to the door and open it. They saw me, noticed me, and turned back around and went back to their conversation. After a few more knocks, they finally had somebody come to the door. I was met by Leonard Young, who identified himself as the manager of the establishment at the time. One of his first comments to me was that everybody in the bar area was over the age of 21 before I even inquired about if there was any alcoholic beverages being consumed in the area. And then he stated that there was nobody drinking. I informed him of the Stoughton Town bylaw under Article 3, Chapter 209, Section 209 to 223. He stated he understood. He stated that the owners of the establishment were Lisa and Williams Wong. He did not have a contact phone number so that I could speak with them at that time. It should just be noted that on the website and as well as on the doors that the hours of business state that they close at 10 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. I was there, just to reiterate, about 2:50 in the morning the next day on Saturday morning. I can cite the bylaw violations if the board would like, or any questions?
No questions from council.
Does anybody on the board have any questions of the officer at all?
No questions.
No? No?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergeant Flanagan. I have a comment to Lisa. I have the utmost respect for you, you know that, and couldn't ask for a better person. But I don't want to see a black mark for all your hard work.
Yeah.
And Kevin,
Yep.
you should take the lead from her. I wouldn't want to see you here again,
Of
please.
course, yeah.
This lady has years and years. It goes back to when I was first on the board, signing licenses for her. This breaks my heart. So I appreciate my police officers and what they do and how the chief runs the show down there. So please take heed of this. This sets you up for where you're going to be in life, what she has done for you.
I understand. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Joe, go ahead.
I've got to follow up and say, if you come back here, we're not your problem, she is.
I know. He know that.
Okay, so, well, you know, that's, you know, he's got to know that. He's got to know that. It's,
He know that very well, and
I would not want to be there, you know?
I don't want to be here. Both of us don't want to be here. And I appreciate it. I mean, the officers, give us a chance, and I really apologize to the town, everybody. My heart is hurt when I see that because, but I will do the best I can, and I will stand back behind Kevin to make sure Chinatown meet the famous of the town of Stoughton. And we will do everything we can do. All right?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, so for the record, the board is conducting an investigatory hearing this evening. From a legal standpoint, I must point out that an undisputed factual record does show there was a violation here. Having looked into this and reviewed some authorities, I submit to the board an appropriate sanction would be somewhere between a warning and a one-day suspension. It's up to the board what it feels is appropriate.
This is a public hearing. We hear from the public.
Is there anybody in the public who would like to make a statement at all? Cynthia.
Got to be heard on everything.
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. My family has patronized the restaurant, I think, as long as it's been open. We've actually had my dad's birthday party there. So it is a fine establishment. Is the rule that they're charged with the one that says that after 1 o'clock by 1:20 all alcohol has to be gone from the bar?
Say that again, Cynthia.
Is the violation the fact that there was alcohol on the bar after 1:20?
Yes.
Well, I wrote the bylaw back in the 80s. And I agree with your attorney about whatever penalty you seek. Obviously, they're very apologetic, and as been pointed out by previous speakers, we don't expect to see them ever again unless they're delivering Chinese food. They have apologized, but it's up to the board. I've been in your seat, I guess I should say. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's anybody online that'd like to speak, I don't see anybody. I'll entertain. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, just before we move on, I do want to actually thank the sergeant for enforcing our bylaws. And I know it's your shift, but 2:50 at night, probably the last thing you wanted to be doing. But at the same time, I really appreciate the hard work you put into this and for bringing this up, helping this get in front of us. So I want to thank you very much for that. And that beyond that, I just wanted to also thank you folks for your sincerity. Really, honestly, I think that's one of the things that sort of stands out. Is you've run a wonderful business for many years, and you're a wonderful neighbor, and we're really glad to have you in the town. So this is quite unfortunate for all of us, but at the same time, I definitely appreciate your sincerity and willingness to work with us. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else on the board? Does anybody else on the board have anything to say? Deborah?
Yes, I'm happy to see you, and I'm sad to see you here. I see your family. I go to your restaurant frequently, and I would hate for anything to happen to it. It was one of the staples in the town. So thank you so much for your honesty, and thank you so much for having your business in the town of Stoughton. I'm ready to make a motion if,
To close the
once
public
we
hearing.
close.
I got to entertain Mr. Gito has his hand up. Hang on. Go ahead, Lou.
Thank you. I'm very happy that you have had such a good run in terms of not having problems. At the same time, I think it's important to understand that there are a lot of places in town. Many of them have good intentions also. And I am going to be supporting your having a one-day suspension. I may not even get anywhere with that. But at the same time, I think that everyone, you have a special responsibility. You're doing something that everyone cannot do. And you knew that when you took over your license. And your nephew, is that?
Yes.
Understands that also, and I understand that. And it's good that he's learning from you what needs to be done. His saying that he should have taken responsibility and been there is important. And it's a case also of his trusting the manager to do the right thing, and that didn't happen. But it has to happen every day. And it's hard to say, oh, it's just an oops. We'll just let it ride. Next time, you know, they won't do it for another 30 years. You never can tell. Somebody else may think that they're not going to do it for 30 years either. So I may take a harder line than perhaps some of my peers are. I want you to know that I do that because I think it's important to be able to treat everyone in the same way and expect that to happen every day, not just most of the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Roberts?
Motion to close,
Go ahead.
motion to close the hearing, please.
I have a motion to close in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What is the wish of the board?
I move for a one-day suspension.
I have a motion for a one-day suspension. I don't hear a second, so...
Mr. Vice Chair,
Yes, Mr.
make a motion
McCrisky.
for a warning for this offense.
Mr. McCrisky has made a motion for a warning, seconded by Ms. Roberts. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
No.
4-1. Warning.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
We
you,
learned the
Lisa.
lesson. We will make sure this is not going to happen again. Yeah, and we'll keep our promise.
Thank you. You're all set to go, sir.
Okay.
Before we do, if I just add one thing, Mr. Vice
I
Chair.
was just going to thank Sergeant Flanagan and Chief, thank you for coming. Donna McNamara, thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the one thing I'd just like to add is that going into this, I actually supported the idea of a one-day suspension as well. And I think it seems to be the standard that we've had with other such businesses where we've had similar issues. But what did persuade me was your contrition, the willingness to take responsibility for it. That was very sincere. I believe you, and so I think the verbal warning is as far as we have to go on this. So I appreciate your just who you people are and what you sort of bring to the town. It was a mistake, but at the same time, you owned it, and that's all anybody can ever ask. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Have a nice
Thank you,
evening.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve. Continuing on to the next hearing. A public hearing will be held by the Select Board on Tuesday, March 18th, 2025 at 8 p.m. to consider joint petition of Mass Electric, DBA National Grid, and Verizon New England, who are requesting permission to locate poles, wires, fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across following public way. Turnpike Street. National Grid to install 2 joint poles on Turnpike Street beginning at the point of approximately 45 feet north of the center line of the intersection of Old Maple Street and Turnpike Street. National Grid to install 1 45-foot CI pole P61-5 and anchor and 70 South P61 install 1 40-foot CI 3 pole P61-51 and an anchor at 50 east of P61. Install push brace on west side of P62. Project number 3100769. The hearing will be conducted at the Great Hall, 3rd floor, Town Hall, 10 Pearl Street, Stoughton, Mass, and virtually and via Google Meets, and may be broadcast via Stoughton Media Access Television and live stream Google Meets video and telephone connection for the public comment available by calling Select Board Office at 781-341-1300 extension 9212 or email to gpereira@stoughtonmass.gov. May I have a motion to open the hearing?
Second?
I have a motion from Mr. Gito and a second from Ms. Roberts. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting's open. Jared, you here from National Grid? I can't hear him, Childa. In the packet, we have the notice of the hearing. From DPW, Paul Jaffoum, he approved it. I'm just reading some documents into the record. From engineering, Craig Horsfalt, he's approved it. He has no objections. It's approved by Assistant Chief Jackson Maycomber from the Fire Department. And that's all we have. We have, I don't know if anybody has looked at the poles that they're inserting, but we did have a diagram. So Jared, the floor is yours if you can hear us.
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, so these are just going to be 2 poles to bring power over across the street for those new warehouses going in on Turnpike Street. And then that push brace is just to support that existing pole, because we had to remove the supports that are on the other side of the street to make way for the entrance of the new warehouses.
Just do me one thing, give your name for the record, just so it gets in record.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jared Aker, representing National Grid.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board?
Yes.
Mr. Gito?
Jared, I would recommend that you move all of those poles to the property lines. You're putting them right near the edge of the road at the present time. And with increased traffic and over time, Turnpike Street will have to be widened. Whether it's 5 years or 10 years from now, we don't know. But while you're putting poles in, you might as well put them in the right place so that they don't have to be moved later and have somebody else pay for it, perhaps the town. Is there any reason you can't do that?
Yeah, so if we were to try and move or place these new poles on the property lines, push them back as far as we could to the point of the property lines, or even as far as getting easements from the property owners and everything. Basically, what happens is you create a zigzag line, and that would introduce the need for more bracing and guying, which would add more equipment to the field. So right now we're putting the pole in line with the rest of the poles and how they are set up currently. That way there we don't have to, we're trying to minimize the amount of equipment that we have to install.
I guess I can understand that. I don't think that doesn't really make me change my mind. All it does is mean that you don't have to pay a little bit more money now and defer that to somebody else later. Thank you.
Mr. McCrisky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just going to ask, with the statement that Mr. Gito just made, if you have any evidence to say or to back up what you say the wrong location. Is that your opinion, or do you have something that can legitimately challenge the location of the poles? Because it sounds like the petitioner knows exactly why they need to go there.
What is legitimate?
Well, you said they're not in the right location, not going into the right location. Back that up.
What I said was that when you're putting new poles in, you should put them near the back of the property or the edge of the street. If you're going to, we're going to have a lot more traffic in this area now, 10 years from now, and further. And we might as well start somewhere to put those poles where they're not going to be in the way and cause somebody else, perhaps a town, when it makes changes to the road, have to do that.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, I don't know if that's legitimate in your mind or not.
Well, I was just asking you if you had anything to back up how you feel the way you do. It's obvious it's your opinion. You have no fact to back up your comment. Okay.
Let's see.
I'm good.
Fact.
You answered my question.
There is a traveled way shown on the plan. Fact. There are lot lines shown on the plan. Those are two facts. The poles are near the edge of the traveled way. The property lines are well away from the poles that are locations. Now, those are two facts, three facts.
I'll give you, Mr. Gito, I'm going to interrupt you for a second.
Yeah, me too.
Hang on a second. This intersection here has been reworked when they did basically the IKEA way, and they did it from the intersection of Central Street down all the way to there. There are very sensitive wetland issues in this whole area here. That's why these poles can't go out. There's peat, and they're probably going to run into problems because the drop-off behind the pole that you think on the western side, that property line's like almost at the edge of the swamp. If you've been down there, that side drops off, and there's also an underground pipe that travels onto the other side that heads up into the swamp on the east of the 139. The reason why they want to keep everything straight in line, and I know this because I actually went to school for this, because you got to understand why underground has to go underground sometimes. If you zigzag the poles gain footage and wire weave, so when the wind blows, now you got a problem. When they're straight and they're tight, that's why the guide wires have to be where they are. That's what I learned. I don't know if anybody else has been to school for it, but I have. So I understand what Jared's talking about, and the engineers probably laid it out this way. Poles, they don't want them to jig-jag because it interrupts stuff further down. But I know that this road has been improved. I know Old Maple Street isn't, because there's tons and tons of problem there. There's a brook that runs up the side, and there's ledge on the other side. And then on the Armory side, figure that out, is about an 8-foot drop on that side. So that's why I'm sure this is why they're not going to remove a bunch of poles for no reason, because they're going to have to drill to put them in the ground. Mr. Cavey.
Thanks. I don't know. I'm not an engineer, and so I can't really make a call on whether or not they're in the right place or the wrong place. But I do notice that our engineers have signed off on this. If it's something that we want to have done or examined, I think that we don't do it. I don't think we ought to do it by shooting from the hip during the middle of a public hearing. So if we want to have our engineering department look at this, I'm fine with that going forward. But I think for this particular case, I don't see it being in anybody's best interest to start tinkering with the engineering on this board. But I have no further questions to the representative from National Grid.
Is there anybody in the audience who has something to say? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close.
So made. Second.
I have a motion to close, Mr. McCrisky, and a second from Ms. Roberts. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What's the wish of the board, please?
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 No.
No. Mr. Gito votes no. Jared, you're all set.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you for staying on. We have one more hearing to go, and it's an application for a common victor license and an all-alcoholic beverage license with KFUS, Inc., DBA Soul Gourmet, 408 Washington Street. Take a seat, gentlemen. I'm just going to read some stuff into the, and then I'll get right to you.
Sure,
Okay?
thank you.
A public hearing will be held by the Select Board on March 18, 2025 at 8 p.m. to consider the applications of KFUS, Inc., DBA Soul Gourmet, located at 408 Washington Street, Stoughton, Mass. 02072. For a common victuals license and an all-alcoholic beverage license, the hearing will be conducted at the Great Hall, 3rd floor, Town Hall, 10 Pearl Street, Stoughton, Mass., and/or virtual and via Google Meets. It may be broadcast via Stoughton Media Access Television and live stream. Google Meets video link and telephone connection for public comment available by calling the Select Board office at 781-341-1300, extension 9212, or email gpereira@stoughtonmass.gov. Motion to open a hearing.
So made.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Somebody was asleep at the switch. All those in favor of opening the hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty. I got green cards that were sent out and an advertisement that was put in the paper. I'm just reading some documentation, then you can take it from here after I read this. Sure. From the Treasurer's Office, there's no outstanding taxes. From Building and Zoning, Jack Erickson has approved it. From Board of Health, Larry Perry has approved. From the Police Department, Deputy Chief O'Connor has no objections with it and has motion for approval. From the Deputy Chief. From Assistant Chief Maycomber from the Stoughton Fire Department, he has approved. And we have tip certifications that were handed in for your viewing. And we have the application for the license on the Common Vic. It has, the table seating is 45. There's one restroom, one women's restroom, and the hours of opening are 11 a.m. and close is 1 a.m. They have a dumpster. They've turned in the applications for both askings. And they have their workman's comp is all in order. And, sir, it's yours.
Sure. Thank you very much for the time here, the members of the board. My name is Attorney Daisley, counsel for the KFUS, and right next to me, Raymond Lee, and who is the sole owner of the company, and he serves as the president. And it's right next to him, Oki Lee and his mother. She serves as a vice president. And just to give you some backdrop here, members of the board, she has the Korean restaurants up in Boston, 2 locations, in fact, very successful businesses there. Probably about 20 years, I think she's been running it, both places there. And both places basically have liquor license and all that. And he, Raymond Lee, has been working there for almost a decade, if not longer. So with that extensive experience that he has under his belt, now he wants to launch his business here in Stoughton. He lives in a neighboring town in Canton, only 5 minutes down here, coming back and forth. So he has such desire to open his own business here in Stoughton. Obviously, that's going to be a Korean restaurant. He kind of noticed a bunch of different kind of restaurants here, traditional American restaurants and Portuguese restaurant, Brazilian restaurant, even Chinese restaurant there, but he hasn't seen any Korean restaurant here. So he found that as a great opportunity to draw some of the possible and potential patrons here and all that. So basically, that's where it is. And obviously, as you mentioned, he has completed all the training and completed and received all that certificates for the that's required for this liquor license and common visual and all that. So it is a really exciting moment for him to open this restaurant. And kind of, we are actually sitting in the back right here and kind of talked. We saw the lady and I guess the guy whose name is Kevin and all that. And we kind of share that. Oh, what a nice moment right there, you know. That lady must have done a lot to the community and a lot of contribution to the community. In a good sense, obviously, we're talking about. And he goes basically, you know, I want to be like that too. He's kind of new to this town. Like I said, he lives in Canton, and he lived back then in Needham, and just moved down here in Canton. So again, he's going to start his business here. I want to have that kind of relationship. I want to bring a lot to the community here and blend into this community, and so that I can make something good, real good, out of myself, and also I can also pay forward to the community as well. So that's kind of a nice conversation I had with him and all that. So with that being said, we welcome any questions here from the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deborah?
Yes, I'm excited about the new restaurant in Stoughton, too. But tell us a little bit about the restaurant. What are you going to serve? What are you going to offer? It's on the menu.
No, it's a hub right here. But what I was going to say is that that's a Korean restaurant. I don't know any of you members right here who knows some Korean restaurant at all. In fact, the name of the restaurant itself is Seoul Gourmet. She has a restaurant up in Boston, Seoul Jangto, Seoul Solongtang. Basically, the theme of it is Seoul. That's the name of capital in Korea. So they want to bring in traditional and authentic Korean food. You must try at some point. At some point, I'm sure they'll be so excited to have you there. Different kind of noodle, different kind of Korean traditional food and all that. Certainly, it's not a bar, as you can imagine. It's not a nightclub or anything like that at all. It's just basically family-oriented establishment. So they can have nice, cozy, and some relaxing and family time all together. That kind of theme they want to have right there.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Is anybody else on the board have something? Mr. Gito?
I'm interested in seeing new restaurants come in with different cuisine, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Steve?
Hey, I always love new restaurants. I'm always excited when a new restaurant comes in. So
Stoughton Gourmet.
I know, and I live right around the corner from this business. I've seen it, as you guys have done some work. It looks beautiful. It looks really, just from the outside. I haven't gone inside, obviously, but from the outside, you've done a really great job. It looks wonderful, and I wish you nothing but success. I definitely am going to vote in favor of this, and you'll probably see me there kind of often. So I'm looking forward to it.
Joe, do you have anything you want to add?
No, good luck. And we'll be down there to try it. Just be gentle with me. I like spicy foods, but then I tried something one time, and their version of spicy and mine are not the same. So, look forward to coming down and having dinner tonight. Good luck.
Thank you.
I'll go to the audience. Cynthia?
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. As previous speakers have said, folks in Stoughton seem to have a real sense of adventure, and they particularly like Asian food. We have Vietnamese, we have Thai, we have plenty of Chinese, and now we're going to have Korean. But we also have Mexican, Brazilian, Italian. So there's a different taste for each day of the week, and it appears that folks in Stoughton do enjoy eating out. So welcome.
Thank you.
I too wish you guys well. The place was a Dunkin' Donuts at one time, and it's nice to see. I watched it evolve, and I'm like, this is good. So I'm looking forward to it too. So I don't see anybody online, so I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What's the wish of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve, and I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous, and you're all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.
And we wish
Bye-bye.
you the best.
Oh, and also thank you for picking Stoughton as a place to do business. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
It's all back to you, Steve.
Thank you so much. Of course, well, as always, well done. And very much appreciate it. The last order of business for tonight is the item 8 to discuss process and plan of action for the Frederick Richard Class of 2025 Scholarship Awards. Votes may be taken. We have some information about this, but I want to pass it over to Ms. Roberts, if you'd like to speak on this.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we have are 10 applicants for the scholarship, and we have to select 3,
and it's due on April 1st. But let me give you some context and just remind you what this is actually all about. You remember back on Sunday, October 6th, when we had the event, the Frederick Richards, and we gave him the key to the town of Stoughton, and we went to the Gold Over America event. And Frederick Richards, once again, he's the U.S. Olympian who won the bronze medal for gymnastics. Well, during that whole event, we also developed, created a scholarship in his name. And a couple of items of criteria are, one, the person has to have a certain grade point average, 3.5 grade point average. He must be a Stoughton resident and a Stoughton High School student. Applicant must be attending a 2 or 4 year accredited college, and it goes on and on. Applicant must be actively involved in at least one sport or extracurricular activity. Applicant must provide a letter of recommendation from a teacher, a counselor, or a coach. The applicant must submit their resume or summary of academic achievements, extracurricular involvement, and community service. All of the applicants meet that criteria. So what I'm recommending to the board is we defer back to the school, to the high school in this case. That's the body that knows all of the students the best, and they will make the best informed decision. So that is my motion.
Oh.
That
Sorry,
was
I'm
quick,
still in
right?
public hearing mode. I was waiting for Vice Chair Carrera. Sorry, I forgot I'm running this meeting. Yeah, apologies. So there's a motion by Ms. Roberts, seconded by Mr. Gito, to I guess ask the schools to judge these scholarships on our behalf.
Yes.
Have you reached out to anybody in the schools and they're in favor of or willing to take on that task?
No, I have not. I wanted the favor of the board first.
Okay.
They deferred to us, and because this is the first year for the scholarship, and as a first year of, we own the funds, and we are the decision makers.
Okay. Yeah.
But after this first year, and then of course we also go to the ceremony. And we could present those award recipients with the scholarship fund. And that will be later on in the April timeframe. And then everything gets transferred over to the school, and the rest is history,
Excellent.
as they call it.
So yeah, I'm in favor of this. For some reason you run into a jam, let us know, and we'll schedule something so that we can.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, as you recall, Deborah, she doesn't know about this, but Deborah single-handedly organized this event, this Stoughton celebration to honor Fred Richards. I would ask the board if you'd consider amending the motion to put it back to the school committee with a condition that they ask Deborah to present the scholarships on behalf of the board.
Here.
Since she organized the whole event.
Here.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
No, there's a special scholarship. It's called
Awards night.
Scholarship Night with a K. It's a Sunday before graduation.
Great. I'll second that.
Okay, so you accept that amendment?
Yes, I will.
And it was seconded by Mr. Gito. Do you accept that amendment as well? That's okay. It's just the only additional element is to request that the school committee invite Ms. Roberts to present the awards. Okay, excellent. So without further ado, let's move to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous. My distinguished colleagues, we've reached the end of our agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion to adjourn was made by Vice Chair Carrera, seconded by Ms. Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Excellent. So the time is 8:44. The meeting is adjourned. Everyone have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.